Hello, my name is Kate, and today we are going to be continuing looking at the book of Revelation. Yesterday we looked at chapter 5 and we read about John's vision where he saw the Lord Most High seated on the throne, and in his right hand was the scroll that was sealed with 7 seals. And we read that the only one who was found to be worthy to take and open that scroll was the Lamb who was slain. And the Lamb came in that chapter and took the scroll. And all who were gathered worshipped the Lamb, for he was and is worthy. Today we are going to be moving on to the next part of the vision where John describes in Revelation chapter 6 the Lamb opening 6 of those 7 seals. Now, this chapter is all about the coming of the day of judgment, a time where God's final judgment will come upon the earth and all of humanity. Well, why do we need a day of judgment? Well, let's have a look back in Daniel chapter 9. In verse 24, it says this, that the day of judgment is to finish the transgression, to put an end to sin, and to atone for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal both vision and prophet, and to anoint a most holy place. Wow. So there's lots of aspects to God's character that we talk about very often. We talk about his love. That is something that we often talk about at Christmas. The love of God came down at Christmas, the line of a carol. We know that Jesus was born and he came to earth fully human as a baby, in the same way that human babies are born. And not only was he fully human, but he was fully God. And he lived his life showing us how to live, showing us how to pray, teaching us so many things about Father God. And ultimately, he came to take the punishment that we deserve when he willingly died on the cross. But yet he defeated sin, and he rose again and went to be back with Father God, leaving his spirit on earth. So within that whole story, we start off thinking about God's love, but we also think about his grace and his mercy. And these 3 aspects of God's character are kind of ones that we talk about a lot, ones that we are comfortable with to an extent. But I think it's really easy for us to not ponder upon other aspects of God's character that are a bit more difficult to understand or difficult to kind of comprehend where he's coming from. And one aspect is that God will have this final day of judgment. Now, it's not a trivial judgment and punishment. It is the final judgment. And we think about this in the manner that God is a just God. So in order to do what was written in those words in Daniel, to put an end to sin, that day of judgment has to be just and fair. I want to really encourage you today to ponder upon the things that are a bit tricky to understand, and not to discard them or leave them to one side, but to ask God to help you to understand what he is saying to you for today, for tomorrow, for this week, for your life. How can you work through those challenges? Well, obviously reading the word and praying to God is really important, but he calls us to be in relationship with others in our community. So perhaps there's others in your household, in your community, in your small group, in your site, amongst the leaders and elders of our church. I really encourage you to not put aside the things that are tricky, but to really embrace the full character of God and know that he is gracious, he is merciful, he is love, and he is just. Have a great day.